This program is brought to you by realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property. With more properties for sale than anywhere else, we make it easier.
Thanks for your company here on Business Now. Let's get across the auction results from over the weekend. And look, it remains pretty robust, it's got to be said. There were 1,936 auctions around the country. You can see here the average clearance rate, 62.6%, which historically is pretty strong. Now, if we go to Sydney, there were 723 auctions. The clearance rate there pretty much matching the national average, 62.9%. There were also a further 1,472 private sales across the state during the week. In Melbourne, more than 700 auctions you can see there. But have a look at these clearance rates, 71.3%. Victoria also saw a further 1,058 private sales during the week. In Brisbane, 91 auctions, the clearance rate slipped a little here, 46.2%, but on top, there were 1,045 private sales across Queensland. In Adelaide, the clearance rate, that's strong. Have a look at this, 76.6%. From 46 auctions plus a further 345 private sales. The ACTU also strong. Its clearance rate 70.5% from 44 auctions and an extra 113 private sales. And in WA, no auctions to speak of, 663 private sales there. Let's bring in Anne Flaherty, economist from REA Group. And according to PropTrack's sort of latest national home price values, they're up 0.13% in March. It kind of reverses a period where prices have been falling. So the big question, I guess, is whether housing markets have actually hit the bottom and they're now starting to pick up again.
It's a great question. We've now had 3 consecutive months where property prices have increased around Australia. So, over the March quarter, the first 3 months of the year, we've actually seen prices up 0.5%. So this is a big change from those price declines that we were seeing last year.
Okay, then go to another thing, because today we saw a whole bunch of stuff out. New lending data was out. That's pretty low. Building approvals, very poor, it has got to be said. And so this all leads to a suggestion that there's an undersupply of property coming onto the market. And yet you can start to see prices bubbling along. If interest rates start to fall, as many investors, many home buyers are starting to think, it almost creates a bit of a recipe for a price boom down the track.
Well, supply really is the key issue. Now, the fact that property prices have increased after we've seen 10 consecutive interest rate rises is quite astonishing, and it really points to the fact that this reduction in the number of properties that are being put up for sale in the face of, still relatively healthy buyer demand is leading to a really healthy level of, competition among buyers. So that's really what's keeping prices resilient. If we see the supply of new homes not keep up as well, again, that's going to support property prices moving forwards.
And from that PropTrack data that came out today showing that price increase, are there any places around the country where you can already identify that supply-demand imbalance is starting to push the prices even harder?
Well, I think that Adelaide and Perth are pretty interesting examples. Despite the interest rate rises, both those markets have seen prices at their peak levels in March. So we haven't really seen, a big reduction in those markets. They're still peaking.
So that being the case, if the Reserve Bank tomorrow, as is expected, keeps the rates on hold after 10 rate rises, then it's only going to add more fuel to that fire. And even immigration is another aspect of this as well that we don't really talk about too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we know that immigration, the biggest impact there is on the rental market. So when people first come to Australia, they're more likely to be renters. Rental supply is already very tight. Rents are increasing rapidly. And that's, that's going to lead some people to question, okay, if interest rates have stopped moving, is now perhaps a good time for me to potentially buy? I think that when we do see interest rates stabilise, that's going to improve confidence as well and may support more buyer activity.
I'll tell you, it's going to be fascinating to watch it over these next few months. Anne Flaherty from REA Group, always good to have you in the program, and many thanks for your time today.
My pleasure.